Hey guys, how you doing? This is Manga Section. I'm here to bring you the review for One Piece episode 947. Once you take away the intro and the recap from the last episode, all the first half of the episode was Queen wetting himself in fear because Big Mom is now back. She's not old Lynn no more. And she was like, yo, I know you got some red bean soup. I remember everything now. I know you hide some red bean soup for me. So she goes towards Queen, and then that's when something odd happens. She falls asleep. Now, you could say it was the headbutt, but like I personally say, the headbutt didn't knock her out. It knocked her back in. And now you could blame it on hunger, but I'm trying to remember a time that she has ever fallen asleep due to hunger. So regardless of the reasoning, I feel like it's more of a plot convenience thing. It's just to drive the plot within a certain way. But Big Mom has fallen asleep, and what does Queen do? Store in his fear, store in his feelings of fear. He's like, yo, we need to get some sea-sewn cuffs and chains and chain her up now. And even after he does that, all funny, even after he does that, he still doesn't feel safe. It's like, do you know what? We need to get some tranquilizers, 100 shots in there right now. And even after that, even though he doesn't say it, I would argue he still doesn't feel safe because he gathers her up, and beelines it straight to Kaido. We know he's on route. You see him in the ship on his way to Kaido. So the first half of the episode is Big Mom being captured and gathered by Queen and making his way to Kaido. Making his way to Kaido. And now, like I said, it's to drive up. I feel like it was to drive the plot a certain way. But what do you guys think is going to happen once Big Mom and Kaido get face to face? Yeah, I don't want to say much. So I will leave it there. So that's the first half of the episode. Second half of the episode is very Luffy focused, where we have Luffy realizing the two biggest threats that he had there in Udon are now gone, and he has the time to play, or as he says in the episode, to practice and master his Ryu. So we see him going through that. We see him going through all the motions. He can't do it anymore. He's getting frustrated because he can't do it anymore. He's trying to remember the feeling of doing it so he can do it again, but he's not having much luck. So this leads to a scenario where we have the prisoners of Udon then turn on Luffy and essentially are helping the guards. Luffy's a bit baffed at this at first, and maybe as an audience member he was a bit baffed at it as well, but basically as the episode goes on we just learn the reason why the prisoners are doing this, and that is simply because they have nothing to lose. Basically everything has already previously been taken away from them. They have no hope, so they are willing to give their lives to helping the prisoners, because in their minds they have nothing to lose. They intended, when they got captured and brought into Udon, they intended to die there anyway, so they're thinking, no, I ain't got nothing to lose, there's nothing for me on the outside. Even if I was to escape, what's the point of living, why not die now instead of later, kind of thing. That's their mindset, not knowing what Luffy knows, not knowing what what's his name? Kawamatsu, I think, knows, and Kiku, and so forth. So there comes a point within the episode where the prisoners are, holding Luffy. I know Luffy could easily break out of that hold if he wanted to. But Luffy says, if you guys knew what I knew, if only I could tell you guys what I know, then you guys would feel differently. And that's when they get permission by Mr. Kappa to tell them what he knows, and maybe they'll see some sense after that. So we'll obviously lead into Luffy telling them, obviously. and that kind of leaves off the episode. There are two other things that I want to talk about that do happen within the episode, which are interesting if not important. So the first thing is that we find out who this mystery prisoner has been all this time. Previously he was described as a beast, but we find out who he is, and it turns out he is one of the 9 red scabbards. I think that's the way you pronounce it in English. Yeah, he turns out to be one of them as well. Why? And this is something I just kind of realized while watching the episode right now. With Orochi so superstitious as he is, it's amazing that he would kind of take a risk of being in his life and being alive. I know essentially he was trying to kill Mr. Kappa, but he should have done it in a more conventional way. I think that's the way I want to phrase it, conventional way, because obviously we know he was feeding them the fish and they were poisonous, whatever, so in theory he should have technically died at some point, but it would have been more like, you know, final to just, you know, through the heart, you know, execute him. So, you know, so there's that to think about in that regard. And the other thing I want to quickly mention is the genius, which seems to be Queen, because we are introduced to the plague bullets within this episode, and that is a man-made virus created by Queen himself. So there is some intelligence in that brain of his, and yeah, we see people get infected by this illness as the or virus, whichever you want to call it, as the episode goes on. So being a manga reader, I can spoil more, but what do you guys think? And that's another question for you guys as well. What do you think is going to happen regarding this virus? Because it is there and it is potentially able to wipe out everyone there, not just by being infected by the bullet itself, but by touches of the people who are infected. So what do you think is going to happen there? So everything I've got to say about this episode. Unlike usually, I do feel like the pacing for the episode was good. I think it was paced exactly how it should have been for this present moment in time. If anything, I'm surprised they didn't spend more time on the taking out of Big Mom. I mean, like, chaining her up and getting her out of there. I'm surprised about that, but they spent the right amount of time on it, because it literally felt like I literally felt the fear of Queen and the urgency of him wanting to get her out there. So I liked it just how it was, but I am surprised they didn't spend more time on it. I'm going to give it a 3-star rating. The episode 3-star rating. Call it a review. Like always, guys, basket for your thoughts and opinions. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. But most importantly, take care. Have a nice day.